Welcome to Nasdaq Trade Talks. I'm Jill Malandrino, Global Markets Reporter at Nasdaq. Joining me is Rena Andoh, Chair of Diversity and Inclusion at Sheppard Mullin, to discuss the firm's strategy in advancing diversity and inclusion. Rena, it's great to have you with us. Welcome to Trade Talks.
Thanks so much for having us.
You got it. And your firm launched a racial justice task force in June following George Floyd's death. Please describe the genesis of that.
Sure, happy to. So really, the idea for the task force dates back to when COVID started. It began when we started hearing about incidents of increased racism against our Asian lawyers that related to COVID. And there were also a number of high-profile incidents prior to George Floyd, like, for example, Ahmaud Arbery, around the same time. And so we were conducting outreach to our Asian and Black lawyers around these issues and also wanted to connect with our staff. And then we realized that we didn't really have the same infrastructure in place for our staff as we did for our lawyers, and it was impeding our ability to really support them through this difficult time. Law firm diversity and inclusion programs are generally focused on attorneys because that's how we tend to be measured. But ultimately, our staff are half our community, and they're incredibly critical to the firm's success. So when George Floyd occurred, we realized that we wanted and needed to do more and form the Inclusive Engagement Task Force. The task force is a special committee. It's intended to be in existence for about 1.5 years at a minimum, and it's an important structure for us. The firm chair, Guy Hallgren, chairs the committee, and we have the CFO and several executive committee members that sit on it. But really critically, we also have associates and staff who sit on it to make sure that all of the voices inside the firm are being heard.
Tell us about a few of the initiatives that have been launched by the task force.
Yeah, so we basically divided the task force up into 4 main subcommittees. One of them is pro bono and community service. The second was internal training. The third was staff infrastructure. And then the fourth is contributions. So in pro bono community service, one program that was really interesting that we've rolled out is something called ABLE. It's a joint program with the Georgetown Law School. And the focus is on equitable policing. It actually arose out of the firm's experience over a period of years acting as monitor for the New Orleans Police Department. As far as internal training is concerned, we've really focused on having these firm-wide informational sessions that are focused on U.S. history. And really the idea there is to support and supplement the firm's diversity and inclusion programs through an increased understanding of how we got here. With staff infrastructure, we're in the process right now of having staff roundtables so that we can determine how to better integrate them into the firm's existing diversity and inclusion programs. And finally, with respect to contribution, we have a few contributions that we finalized. One that we're especially excited about is for an organization called Bridging the Gap, which was started or co-founded by one of our summer associates this past year. And it's really focused on trying to give economic support for the LSATs and also mentoring to first-generation college graduates who are interested in attending law schools. And we've also earmarked contributions for 2 New York City public schools that are non-magnet and non-charter, PS 85 and Hamilton Grange, and we're looking at 2 public schools in Los Angeles right now as well. The idea behind all of these contributions is that we're not just going to drop a check, that we're also going to partner with them over time.
So Rena, it sounds like there's a real focus on the pipeline here. Tell us more about that.
Yeah, our traditional pipeline efforts as a law firm have really been focused on law schools and trying to get direct access to people who are almost ready to start working for us as lawyers. And what we realized is that we really needed to reach farther back into the pipeline, and there are a few reasons for that. One of them is because we need to do more to pay it forward to the industry as a whole. If we're just limited to thinking about law schools and people who have already made the decision to opt into law school, we're missing a huge pool of talented potential lawyers out there. And also, frankly, we need to create pipelines more holistically and not just think about the lawyers. We also need to think about staff. There are a number of careers that are really great that happen in law firms that aren't just being lawyers. And we were not really focused on how we were going to get the best talent in the door in those areas as well.
How do you intend to integrate this new focus on racial justice into your existing D&I program?
So in particular, we view the Inclusive Engagement Task Force as feeding into our pipeline and retention initiatives on a number of levels. Obviously improving our attorney and staff pipelines, but also creating a culture of giving around the firm. We're really interested in focusing on this contribution piece to try to change the way the firm and its employees think about contributions of both time and money. We're interested in providing more information to support our inclusive firm culture through our trainings and through our informational sessions. And we're also really interested in providing opportunities to our attorneys to get more engaged in these issues through pro bono.
How do these new initiatives align with your existing program?
So the firm's primary focus, our mantra, is recruitment, retention, promotion. And so really it hits all three, because we think being a leader on this issue makes us attractive to recruits, and it also creates an environment where people want to stay, and we're making sure that we're promoting people and that we're giving them opportunities to shine.
Rena, appreciate the insight. Thanks for joining us on Trade Talks.
Thanks so much.
You got it. And thanks for joining me. I'm Jill Malandrino, Global Markets Reporter at Nasdaq.